Hey there, interwebs. This is my review of Marvel's What If T'Challa became Star-Lord. And just to address it right up front, I am sorry that I'm not on camera right now. I actually had a little bit of a cold today. It was actually pretty bad, and right now I actually have a frog in my throat that's kind of preventing me from talking really super well. So I didn't want to make myself presentable, and I didn't want to get on camera. So I'm just doing an audio version review of this, and then also as such, it'll probably be a little bit of a shorter review. But regardless, I hope you're all doing super well. But let's dive into it. I will say right up front, I really liked this episode a hell of a lot more than I liked the Peggy Carter one, because getting to see T'Challa as Star-Lord really felt like it completely changed the dynamic, whereas Peggy Carter becoming Captain America just felt it was going through the same beats of Captain America the First Avenger, with a slightly different twist on it, but not too much different, whereas this felt like it wasn't trying to jam-pack the entire story of Guardians of the Galaxy into, 30 minutes, but tell a completely different story with T'Challa being Star-Lord, and actually give him an arc that was kind of unique, and I really enjoyed that. But you still have some of the hallmarks of the stuff that makes Star-Lord a certain specific character, like his relationship with Yondu. And so I like that sort of mixing in here, and his sort of connection with Wakanda as well being brought into the character. It was just a really nice mesh of the two different versions of this character that we knew, that Star-Lord and T'Challa, and sort of what they kind of mean and what they would mean sort of mixed together. And like I said, this story felt like it was doing something completely new and different. I liked it being sort of a heist thriller about them going after the Collector. What I also really love about that is because it's not trying to do the Guardians of the Galaxy again, while it is sort of hitting on things that we explored in Guardians of the Galaxy, is allowing us to see things a little bit more than we got to see in that film, and actually go a little bit bigger than we got to see in the movie. We got to see more of the Collector's collection in a really cool way, and how actually big it was, which is something you can't really show in live action, so I like that sort of acknowledgement there. I also really loved this new Ravager crew, specifically Korath. Korath was obviously being used as the sort of comedic relief this entire episode, and I think he did it well. I sort of liked his reverence for Star-Lord, and it kind of showed us how different T'Challa is as Star-Lord versus Peter Quill, that he's actually somewhat competent, which totally makes sense. I mean, T'Challa would be a much more competent Star-Lord than Peter Quill ever was. So I kind of enjoyed that. The entire team was really good. I love seeing a new Nebula, though. I was kind of a bit miffed at that one sequence where Nebula shows up in the really sparkly dress, and it's like, oh, of course we have to have the, oh, hot woman, look at the hot lady bit. I mean, I love Nebula. She's my favorite character, and I'm not against looking at hot ladies, but come on, do we have to do the sparkly dress thing? It was also nice to see a little bit of Drax in there, because it also shows where these characters are in this universe, though I'm honestly kind of curious where Gamora would be, because we do see Nebula, so I'm kind of curious where Gamora would be in this universe. I think the only negative that I really have at this side of the story in terms of the Ravagers is Thanos' addition to the team. I get what they were going for, that T'Challa was sort of be able to fix everything and sort of do something a lot better than Peter Quill, and that they didn't want to have to deal with Thanos being a major character, and they kind of want to have him be part of the crew. But it honestly kind of nerfed him and made his whole I don't know, it kind of implies that the actual Thanos that we watched was sort of hey, yeah, I was one argument away from not really going through my plan and just making fun of it, Captain Genocide. Also, making fun of genocide, I'm not entirely sure I was down with that joke, especially considering how dark it got in the other movies. I don't know. I'm me. I'm someone who likes to be irreverent with my characters and my franchises. I mean, look at Star Trek Lower Decks is my favorite Star Trek, but I don't know. This just feels like it undercuts Thanos as a character. Not only that, he was kind of nerfed power-wise later on, because when he fights his sort of underlings from the Sacred Timeline, he sort of fights them in this version, and he gets beat up by them and gets rescued by Nebula, which makes sense with the Embers, that she's able to beat them, given that she's so much weaker than they are. But, I mean, I guess we never got a fight between them, so I didn't really know their sort of comparative power levels, but it just felt weird. It just felt really weird and nerfing of Thanos, and so I wasn't entirely on board with Thanos' depiction here. Also, his line where he's I'm not whatever crazy, I'm mad, was oh god, that was a bit on the nose. So yeah, none of that was particularly great. Also, them getting Seth Green back as Howard the Duck was a lot of fun, though I wish they had actually done something with him instead of it being another just extended cameo, because you already got one extended cameo with Howard the Duck back in the original Guardians of the Galaxy, so this was just an extension of the extension, and I would have rathered that he was actually part of the plot or doing something. But it was still nice to see Howard the Duck back here. It's a fun little Easter egg, and I really liked him being utilized here. But at the end of the day, I really thought this episode was really great. I really loved T'Challa's arc of sort of figuring out where he wants to be. Does he want to go out into the universe? Does he want to return home? sort of learning about his home. Of course, Yondu lies. I liked his relationship with Yondu and sort of them working it out and sort of fit with what we knew of Yondu, but in a new dynamic, because T'Challa is just a completely different person, has changed Yondu in a different way. And so I enjoyed all of that stuff. And the final scene was super sweet with T'Challa coming back to planet Earth. So overall, I thought that this was a very sweet episode. I mean, also I should mention, of course, I think this is the last time that we're going to see Chadwick Boseman appear in the Marvel Universe, and I think this might be his last IMDb credit just in general because of his sad passing away. And so the dedication to him at the end of the episode was very sweet and heartbreaking, and it was nice to see. And yeah, we lost a brilliant man and a brilliant talent way too soon. But he was really wonderful in this entire episode as well. So that was also something to note as well. And the entire voice cast was also a spot on. I would also give a quick shout out to Benicio del Toro, just having fun as the Collector as well, in the role. The only other thing that I'll note at the end here is I like that this what if ended on a completely different segue of like what actually happened to Peter Quill and Kurt Russell showing up as Ego to say like, oh well, we're gonna take over the universe now, and this might spend the end of the world, says the Watcher. I kind of like that sort of acknowledgement, like, oh, there's other ramifications, not just for T'Challa here because of T'Challa getting picked up. I kind of like that. I also like that it was Yondu was the reason that this universe was created, not T'Challa himself. That it was a choice that Yondu makes that completely changes the universe, which I thought was kind of nice. So those are small little beats that sort of fit into this what-if concept that I actually kind of liked and noted. And I'm curious if we're going to get that Kurt Russell Ego story with an adult Peter Quill in a future episode. I have been getting hints, or at least though I've heard that they might be connecting some of these universes and that the Watcher might get involved, so that's sort of interesting to keep an eye on how things might spiral out of control into that. So, oh, that's super interesting. But at this point, my throat is really kind of killing me, so I have to wrap it out. Thank you so much for listening to my thoughts. I love you all. I'm going to go get some sleep, and I adore you, and hope you live long and stay sexy.